Sir, a lot is being made of the difference in tone between President Ghani and his predecessor, Hamid Karzai. How would you describe it, and is it conducive to improve relations between the United States and Afghanistan?
Yes, there is a difference in terms of personality and outlook and just sort of the way that the current president is pursuing policies as opposed to what Mr. Karzai was doing. But nonetheless, you know, they both have a common problem, which is that there are a limited number of options that they can choose from. It's not as if Mr. Ghani can sort of wave a magic wand and turn things around dramatically. The underlying geopolitical realities are hardwired into the system, and Mr. Ghani has to navigate them just as Mr. Karzai faced them as well.
Mr. Bokhari, during his joint press conference yesterday with President Obama, President Ghani said, quoting here, "Tragedy brought us together, interests now unite us." What are those interests, and how will they define the alliance going forward?
I think it's primarily a security interest, an interest that Afghanistan does not descend back into a playground for transnational jihadist groups and a staging ground for them to be able to launch attacks internationally. I think that remains at the core. So yes, you know, the way Mr. Ghani phrased it was he was referring to the 9/11 tragedy, but I think that the underlying reality or the purpose for which the United States and its allies went into Afghanistan in the first place, they continue to exist, although not at that level perhaps.
Sir, the American military challenge in Afghanistan has come mainly from the Taliban. Now with Islamic State an increasing threat, President Obama has retreated from plans to slash U.S. forces in the country by the end of this year. Will the reversal of that timetable be enough to ensure stability in Afghanistan?
It depends on a number of factors, and most importantly is how the negotiations that the United States has been conducting with the Taliban movement, how they move forward. We had some progress that we saw, which resulted in the brief opening of an office in the Qatari capital for the Taliban Politburo, but that was quickly shut down within days. And now there seems to be a renewed effort to negotiate, and this time on the part of the Kabul government led by Mr. Ghani. So we need to see how that makes progress, and the extent to which there is a negotiated understanding with the Taliban will then shape the U.S. efforts to bring an end to the longest war in American history.
Mr. Bokhari, the United States, as you well know, has spent $65 billion so far helping to build up Afghanistan's army and police force. How much longer can that financial assistance continue?
It's really unclear how long the United States can sustain that level of financial input into the country. But at the same time, the United States does not have a choice. Obviously, the hope is that as time goes by, the United States and its allies will not need to inject the same level of funds as they have in the past because of improvement in the capability of the Afghan security forces. And of course, if there is improvement in security, then with it comes improvement in the economic situation in the country. I think that we may be able to reduce financial inflows into the security apparatus of Afghanistan as time goes by, but ultimately really making an economy, a workable economy for Afghanistan is going to be a very long-term challenge.
Sir, in his speech before that joint meeting of Congress today, President Ghani said, and I quote, of the Americans, "You could have used this opportunity to end the partnership and return home in frustration," but he continued, "You did not. Thanks to the flexibility shown by President Obama and Congress, we have made up for the loss and have regained momentum." What does that momentum now look like, considering that President Obama did say yesterday, although inroads have been made, Afghanistan still remains a very dangerous place? Yes,
I think that the president, the Afghan leader, was referring to the enhanced capabilities of course, relatively enhanced capabilities of the Afghan National Army and the Afghan National Police and its intelligence service. And so, yes, there has been a non-trivial or significant improvement in those capabilities. And of course, I think that the president of Afghanistan is also pinning his hopes that his government's policy of trying to negotiate with the Taliban and improving relations with neighboring Pakistan and that helping the negotiations with the jihadist movement could improve the situation. But, you know, this is a slow process, and we'll just have to wait and see, you know, how long we're going to be in this phase, in this new phase, in this post-NATO, post-Karzai Afghanistan.